If you're a Toronto homeowner thinking about adding a second home on your property, choosing the wrong option here can cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars or stop your project before it even starts. Garden Suite or Laneway House, they are not the same, and one of them may not even be allowed on your lot. In this video, you'll see clearly which option actually works for your property, your budget, and Toronto's current rules. Hi, this is HKMM FlexHome. We design and build garden suites and laneway houses across Ontario, and many homeowners ask the same question: which one should I build? So let's break it down. No hype, just facts, based on how Toronto's bylaws work today. A garden suite is a self-contained secondary home built in the backyard of an existing house. It sits fully in the rear yard, it is separate from your main house, it shares services like water and sewer with the primary dwelling. Most importantly, it does not require any access to a public laneway. All access comes from your main lot. Toronto now allows garden suites on many residentially zoned lots, as long as you meet zoning rules, fire access requirements, and tree protection regulations. This is why garden suites have become the most popular option for Toronto homeowners, because far more properties can qualify compared to laneway houses once the basic checks are done. A laneway house, sometimes called a laneway suite, is also a detached home, but it comes with one strict requirement. Your property must back directly onto a recognized public laneway. Private driveways do not count. Shared access lanes do not count. If your lot does not physically touch a public laneway, a laneway house is not permitted. Because only a small portion of Toronto homes back onto public laneways, far fewer properties qualify for laneway houses than for garden suites. This immediately removes most Toronto properties from consideration for a laneway house, even before design is discussed. So which one is easier to build? For most homeowners, the answer is very clear. If your lot does not back onto a public laneway, a laneway house is off the table, and a garden suite is usually your only detached suite option. If your lot does back onto a public laneway, both options might be possible, but only after passing zoning, fire access, and servicing checks before spending money on design. In general, garden suites tend to offer easier eligibility on typical residential streets, more flexibility in where the building can sit in the rear yard, and fewer constraints related to laneway access and turning space. Laneway houses, on the other hand, come with stricter access requirements, more coordination around servicing and grading, and more site-specific challenges tied to fire access and neighboring properties. This is where many homeowners get confused, especially when it comes to size, design, and height. Both garden suites and laneway houses are regulated very precisely for height, footprint, setbacks, and how close they can be to your main house. Garden suites in Toronto can usually be 1 or 2 stories, typically up to around 6 meters in height on standard lots, within defined setback and coverage limits. In many cases, they can include basements, which can add useful space if the design and grading allow. Roof lines can be sloped or modern as long as the overall height and massing stay within the rules. Laneway houses often face tighter massing and privacy controls because they sit directly on a laneway and closer to neighbors. Their design must respond to the laneway context, and fire access distances from the street and along the laneway become major design drivers. On many typical Toronto lots, this means a garden suite can be designed with more usable interior space than a comparable laneway house, which matters for both family living and rental income. Let's talk about cost at a high level. Exact numbers vary by site, but the type of suite you choose has a big impact on how predictable your budget will be. For most qualifying properties, garden suites tend to have simpler servicing runs, fewer unknowns tied to public laneways, and more predictable site conditions. This often makes total construction costs easier to manage. Laneway houses can be excellent projects, but they are usually more site-dependent. They may require more complex servicing and drainage solutions, trigger upgrades or restoration work along the laneway, and require extra coordination for access, staging, and fire route compliance. This does not mean laneway houses are a bad choice. It simply means the budget is more sensitive to your specific site conditions.
Both options can be powerful tools for long-term housing flexibility. Homeowners commonly use them for long-term rental income to offset a mortgage, for aging parents or extended family, for adult children who want independence while staying close, or for dedicated work from home and studio space. The best option is not about what looks good online. It's about how you plan to use the space, who will live there, and what your property can legally support. Here are a few common mistakes Toronto homeowners make. Assuming they qualify for a Laneway House because there is some kind of rear drive, starting design before confirming zoning, fire access, or tree rules, underestimating servicing and access constraints, especially on tight downtown lots, and comparing prices without understanding how site conditions can significantly change total cost. We see these issues not online, but on real permit files every week. So, which one should you choose? Here's a simple rule of thumb. If your lot backs onto a public laneway and meets basic access rules, you may be able to explore a Laneway House, a garden suite, or compare both options. If it does not back onto a public laneway, a garden suite is usually your only detached suite option. And if you're not sure which category your property falls into, that's completely normal. The rules are detailed, and every site is a little different. At HKMM FlexHome, we help Toronto homeowners check lot eligibility before they spend money on detailed designs or drawings. If you want to know what is actually possible on your property under today's garden suite and Laneway House rules, reach out. We'll walk you through it clearly and honestly. Thanks for watching.